Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today's episode is episode 1 in a 5-part series on building an electric skateboard. In this particular episode, I'm working on installing the vinyl wrap that I had printed for this build. The first thing I did after I got the print was took it down to Home Depot and had them color match a certain section on the print so that I could use it on the side of the board here. After both coats of paint had dried, I just used a 220 grit sandpaper around all of the edges here to make sure there weren't going to be any high spots on the vinyl after I applied it. I wanted to start with the back side of the board first. The shape of the board makes it a little bit easier to apply this section first. I do a little bit of work with vinyl from time to time, but I just wanted to get a little practice before I went on to the front side, which was going to be a little bit more challenging. The adhesive on this vinyl is actually really cool. It's a low-tack adhesive, which means it doesn't stick into place until I actually squeegee it down. So I'm able to reposition it and make sure that it's in the exact spot I want before I actually get it into place. The backside here went on with no issues at all. The most important thing when working with vinyl, especially if you're not very experienced, is just to take your time. The really cool thing about vinyl is that it is very forgiving. So if you do make any mistakes, you just lift it up and then re-tack it down, or if necessary, you just apply a little bit of heat and then everything goes back to the original shape that it was in. I'm using the heat gun here to tack down all the edges before I trim off the excess. Another thing that the heat gun's really good for is finding any air bubbles I might have left behind. Now this film does have air release technology, which means that there's tiny mesh on the back side here, and so if there are some air bubbles, you're able to massage them out without having to lift the film and push it completely out to the side. When I got to the front side of the board, the shape of it made it just a little bit more difficult to install. I wanted to start with the lowest point on the board and then work my way out from there. That way I wasn't stretching the film into anywhere it didn't want to go, and that way it's going to increase the chance of it lasting a lot longer. Like I said before, one of the biggest tips I can give you is just to be patient. You get a really good look here at how the air release technology works. Some of the film bunched up just a little bit, and I was able to use my finger instead of the card just to massage it a little bit, and then those kind of tight areas just work themselves out. After both the top and bottom were installed, I just went around with a knife and cleaned up any rough edges, making sure there was a nice consistent gap between the top and the bottom, keeping it nice and clean. After I cut some slits for the hardware, I just went over it a couple more times with the heat gun, making sure all the edges were down and nothing was going to be lifting in the future. So here's a look at the final result. I am super excited about how this is turning out so far. The print turned out flawless, the installation was great, and I can't wait to share episode 2 with you guys. So on that note, that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, please make sure you leave them down below and I'll get back to you. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.